One of the storylines of the NFL this week was Tua Tagovailoa coming out and calling out players for showing up late to team meetings and basically just highlighting more of the dysfunction there in Miami. Apparently that did not sit well with teammates. That did not sit well with people within the organization. And so Tua addressed the situation yesterday.
As a leader of this team, of the Miami Dolphins, the comments that had been said, I would say I've made a mistake, and I'm owning up to that right now. I've talked to guys on the team about it, talked to the leaders about it, and they know my heart. They know that the intent was right, but the intent can be right, but when things get misconstrued or however the media wants to portray it, that leaves a void of silence and a lot of questions for the guys on our team. Now, being 1-5, we talk a lot about, all right, we got to get this going. We got to get this going. Come in excited to go to work. Forget about the noise. And I feel like I just added on to that for our guys. For myself, I got to look at myself as the leader, protecting the team. I don't feel like I did that to the best of my abilities. I felt like I let the emotions of the game get to me after the game. And, that's something that I can learn from as a leader on this team. And what happens in-house should be protected, and none of that should have gotten out. And so want to publicly apologize about that, want to move forward, and now want to focus on the Cleveland Browns.
So, on to the Browns we go, but still the mess is there, and it just feel like we're just delaying the inevitable. There's going to be changes. This is going to be a precursor to a lot of these changes, and it's just more logs on the fire, so to speak, when it comes to the Dolphins.
Wait, he said this Sunday, right?
Yeah.
And then he made these comments yesterday?
Yeah.
So it took him like 3 days to figure out he was probably going to have to walk that back a little bit.
It's crazy. He had to experience whatever he's experiencing to walk it back is what I'm.
Well, I was thinking it's kind of like Jonas just figuring out YouTube multi-view.
Just late to the party.
Yeah, like it was like, all right, man. I mean, I figured this would have been like Tuesday or Monday. I don't know.
Yeah, as soon as I heard the quotes, I was like, man, that's bad. That's bad. That's bad when you come out and you say those types of things. Like, nobody, like, guys are super competitive in locker rooms. And some are very, very prideful guys. And everybody has, like, their different vantage points of how they view things, how they react to things. Just different. And when somebody comes out and there's a calling out of sorts in the public forum, public domain consumption, you've basically told us in the locker room that you're more important than us. Like, you're more important. What you feel, what you think, what you do, so if you think you're more important than me, then that means that there's a removal of yourself as it applies to us being together. That's not, I can't trust or have a teammate that I feel that way about. And I can guarantee you, dudes in that locker room, when they heard that, they're like, oh, he's talking about you, bro. Oh, he's talking about me. Like, who is he talking about? Now that becomes the conversation. That becomes the discussion. And while he's not wrong for the things he's calling out, he's wrong for putting it in the public for the media to take shape of it and take hold of it however they want to take it and define it. That was wrong of him to do. But as far as apologizing, I just think at this point it's kind of late to be apologizing. Like you said, today's Thursday. Like, that came out yesterday. That's kind of late. That's late. And what's crazy is the best way for him to approach it would be to approach the team in a players-only type of setting and explain to them and apologize to them for what happened. But now that plays out behind closed doors. That doesn't get put out in the public. He put himself in a very compromising state, if you ask me.
Can we try, like, role-playing real quick, like what that would sound like in the locker room, just to give people an idea maybe I'll just kind of make or regurgitate some of Tua's comments.
All right, go
and
ahead.
then you could be that prideful, player in the locker room who just heard what he said and how he would respond. Are you up for that?
OG.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
But like I need more emotion. I don't want the OG. I want like the the fired up guy, like the prideful one that's upset the way he just said.
but still maybe young, not an OG, but younger. Cause
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
I like where you're going here. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, players aren't showing up to player-only meetings. Guys aren't on time for player-only meetings. I mean, it's holding each other accountable. It's not what we're doing on this team, and it's why we're 1-5.
Stupid. Hey yo! Somebody tell Stupid to shut up.
We need guys who are showing up ready to play, making sure they know what they're supposed to execute. Listen to the coach, doing things we're asking for.
Hey! Somebody bring him some milk. Tua over here. He's singing. Somebody bring him some milk. There you go ahead. This in the look. There you go ahead. This in the background. There you go ahead. This in the background.
Thank you.
Yo, who the f does this mother effer think he is, man? What?
Yeah.
What the f is he saying, bro?
Who does this?
Hey, bro.
He want to come up in here talking
that's
about
what
us
he
like that?
like, dog. He trying to get you fined, bro. Like, hey,
Bro, I'm gonna make sure I come in there and whoop that mother. I mean, he better not walk past my locker room. Right? He better not walk past right now.
Nope. Catch him super late.
Yeah, we will, man. You'll jump his ass in the parking lot, man.
What was he doing, man? I'm telling you.
Yeah,
what,
he
right
probably
now,
drives
he
that
can't
Tesla.
Drive home with 4 flats on you.
Yeah, he's gonna need that full self-driving mode after we whoop his ass.
Man. What's his address again?
By the way, do you think
That is sweet.
do you think anybody brought in the fact that he threw 3 picks in that game as well too, right?
Oh,
Right
you know
before
they
that
went after him.
I was gonna say, like,
You know they went after him.
bro. You threw 3 interceptions that game.
Shut up, stupid.
Wait, Brady, were you throwing my name in because you were insinuating you're going to beat my ass?
Dang. No. I was just trying to get you involved in the conversation.
I'm here. I'm here.
I'm trying to get you in, man. I'm trying. I thought you were going to tag team in, maybe join LaVar and I.
I was thinking about going in with a boo.
There you go. There you go. In all seriousness, to Jonas's point, though, that was what struck me as most odd was the timing of those comments. It's like, oh, I mean, even if all 3 picks aren't on you, it's on you, the box score on you, and you gotta, as a quarterback, just take the blame. Like the 2 people, and someone had a cut up of Kevin Stefanski, which was awesome. And they're like, well, he must be on the hot seat because like every single time they've lost, he's been like, it's on me. It's on our staff. We have to do a better job of preparing them. Like that's a guy who's won multiple Coach of the Year awards for a reason. That's a guy who gets players to play for him for a reason because he's never going to walk up to a podium and he's not going to point the finger somewhere else. He's not going to say, well, they should have done this or they didn't do this. This is why we didn't win. He literally takes it on himself first. And if there's anything that's pointed at a player or even a coach, he's usually deflecting it. It's one of the reasons why, like the Raiders last week, obviously before their win this past week, there's a little back and forth with Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly. A bit surprising. Pete Carroll getting on publicly about the play calling. The irony to that is Brendan Carroll, his son, is the run game coordinator and O-line coach. So, like, he's a part of that.
Thanks, Dad.
But it got a little snippy going back and forth. And look, maybe that's the relationship. Maybe behind closed doors, they're fine, they're okay with it. But then Chip Kelly kind of fired back about it not being about the play calling, and obviously the defensive struggles and all that. So look, a win solves everything. It cures all illnesses. If Miami beats Cleveland this week, this will die down. This will calm down. But if not, it's more pressure on Mike McDaniel. And honestly, I would say this whole Tua thing this week, the one thing it's done is it's kind of allowed Mike McDaniel to fly under the radar.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't talked about him at all this week. It's been mostly about Tua.
Truth.
Because I could, maybe I'm reading it wrong, but I could understand if Mike McDaniel came out and made those comments, that would have been taken differently than one of your own who's supposed to be the leader of the team, who basically just aired everybody out.
I'm going to push back on that, and I'm going to say that becomes more of a volatile situation if your head coach starts calling out his players like that. Personal. That's personal. That's personal to the guys that are involved with it. You can't be the guy that says block out all the noise and it's just us and us against the world and all that when you're sitting there and your actions don't reflect that in what you're doing with the media. I think it would be worse. It'd probably be worse if a head coach was doing that to his players. So if Mike McDaniel did what Tua just did, I think you're potentially, I think it first of all sends a message to the public that this dude is not, like, he doesn't have it anymore. Secondly, you run the potential of, in reality, you lose that locker room.
But we've seen coaches speak to the team through the media before. Phil Jackson used to do it all the time. Like, they would make comments through the media that was like, hey, did you hear coach had this to say or coach had that to say? When it's your quarterback who comes out after a 3-pick game and starts airing everybody out. By the way, the same guy who got on Tyreek Hill for his behavior last year, the same guy who was very critical about how Tyreek Hill was handling himself, and then he airs everybody out like that. I don't. How do you come back from that, from a trust standpoint, if you're somebody else on that team?
That's the thing. You've destroyed the trust. We're not a team. Like, you're not like somebody I bang with. Like, after you just said what you just said, like, you told us how you feel about us. You don't have no problem. Like, even if I'm not the guy that's doing it, I still feel like some guys need a little bit more love. Some guys need a little bit more assisting and a little bit more mentorship. Like, and those are generally the guys that are missing those meetings. Those are generally the guys that need to be talked to a little bit more. You're generally not going to have a seasoned vet miss players only meet. First of all, they nosy. They want to know what's going on. Like, the smarter you are, you'll see that the wiser you get. You want to be a part of these meetings because I want to know what the hell is going on. Like, what's really going on right now? Like, what are people thinking? You want to call this players only meeting? Great. I'm going to be sitting up in there listening. I might not say a word. I'm going to be listening, though, because I want to hear what's going on. So it's generally going to be a younger dude that isn't showing up to that type of a meeting. Could be a popular guy. Could be a really, really talented guy on the roster. That's possible. Could be guys that are, like, fringe guys that could be on the team or not be on the team. Like, there's elements of guys that are showing up late or not showing up at all, and we don't have that context. So it's just irresponsible to put it out there because you don't even know the true context of the people who are showing up and the people who aren't showing up. So that's left to interpretation. You can assume whoever it is you want to assume. You know who you're not going to assume? Tua. Think about it. You're not going to assume it's Tua that's late or missing the meetings. Why? Because he's the one that's calling it out. So you've basically separated yourself from everybody else because there's no context, so everybody else can be a target. You could assume it's Tyreek Hill or you could say it's Chop Robinson or whatever. Whoever it is you want to assume, you can assume any of those people because there's no context connected to it.
Was it Chop?
No. I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing out examples.
Let's call him. That was the one thing. To me, it's family business should be kept in-house. Like anything like that. And that's the one thing I always admired about Belichick and the Patriots. The Malcolm Butler benching in the Super Bowl, not playing him in the Super Bowl, to this day, we still don't know why. Nobody has an answer why.
Seriously. Like JFK, Malcolm Butler in the Super Bowl. Like, you can go through a list of things. Like, it's wild. That never has gotten out what it was. Or even if the explanation was what I've, like, heard, that it was just as simple as that. But to that point, it's a great point.
And there's also, and that was the same offseason where they let him go in free agency and he went and he got the big money deal with the Titans. And ultimately, I think he came back to the Patriots later on in his career to where they, trust him to bring him back. But that was like guys going into free agency. Belichick probably could have let that get public and air him out. And the Titans be like, man, we're not giving this guy that kind of money if he's going to behave like that before the biggest game of the year. Kept his mouth shut. Nobody ever said anything. It just it feels like everybody in Miami and has known for a long time how this whole thing's going to end. Mike McDaniel's probably going to get fired, and they're going to be looking for another coach, and it's going to be a mess in trying to find whoever it is to take over a team who's now apparently got a quarterback that guys don't trust. That just feels like a problem.
That sums it up.
Well,
that about sums it up.
Hey.
And there ain't no putting
Let me
that
ask you guys
toothpaste
this.
back in the tube. It's out. It's out the tube.
After this week, if Miami loses, do you guys get the sense that maybe there's going to be a change coming? I mean, we've talked about this before. I don't think that does anything for you as an organization in the NFL to move on from a coach now. I think it only makes it harder for a lot of those players that if they're on the fence and they're really only playing for the paycheck, then most of those guys kind of check out. But look, maybe they look at Anthony Weaver as a potential replacement who's on their staff as defensive coordinator, and they want to give him a shot. But I look at the Dolphins as the team that I think is the most likely, if they make a change, it'll happen sometime in the next couple of weeks. Like they're that next team that I'm looking at saying, all right, we just saw Brian Callahan get clipped. It feels like they would be the next team that would make a move. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's Kevin Stefanski and the Browns. Although I think you look at what they've done with their roster, and I don't know how they're pointing out the whole blame game, but I'm pretty sure Andrew Berry is responsible for the construction of the roster. So, then maybe they're looking at trading away Flacco and trading away Pickett and more favorably in-house. Because on the outside, if you go back and you play Cincinnati and Flacco ends up dicing you up, like that's going to look really bad on whoever's decision that was to move on from him, which I'm pretty positive was Andrew Berry.
do you think that Tua making the comments and then for them to turn around a week later and firing the head coach would send a message to the locker room that, hey,
Tua's in charge?
yeah, like he calls the shot. I wonder if that actually bought Mike McDaniel some time to where, as you mentioned earlier, the heat's not on him right now. The heat's on the quarterback. If maybe that bought him some time.
He certainly needs to play better when you come out in the media and say those things. I mean, he's put the bullseye on himself. So really, in theory, everybody's off the hook for now.
They can do whatever they want.
They do whatever they want.
You think they showed up late to the team meeting again?
Going to come back on Tua.
The players only meeting, they probably just showed up, 15, 20 minutes
Like,
late?
hey, I get that vision.
Drinks in hand?
I get a visual in my head of what Tua like. See, look, there they go again. Like he that dude that go running to the boss, be like, boss, like they late again. Like here they go, like
Stupid.
like shut up, stupid.
You know what the toughest part about this is, though? And tell me if I'm wrong, but this is my perspective from the quarterback side of things. Defensive players respect you when you play tough as a quarterback.
Yeah.
When you get knocked around, you get the crap kicked out of you, and you keep getting back up. Like, there's a respect. Even if the play isn't great, I mean, obviously you'd love it to be the guy out there slinging it, playing all that stuff. But when you're constantly getting up, I mean, I kind of look at like Baker Mayfield and how fiery he gets sometimes after he gets knocked down or gets into whether he's scrambling or whether he gets, hit or something happens. When he pops back up and he's kind of yapping, it's not just the offense gets fired up, the defense gets fired up, I think, too, because they see that as well. And I think that's one of the issues with Tua is he's kind of fragile in the sense of just how he has to play. And you're always like, oh, is it going to be like the next hit because of the previous injuries and concussions? Even though like he's been tough enough to play through a lot, there's just kind of that thought where like he's also missed time and has kind of been fragile in that way. Like to me, I think that's one of the things where if you look at the locker room dynamics, it's probably hard for a lot of those guys on defense to feel as like they got his back or they're more confident in him when they're not sure like which hit could take him out of the game.
Yeah. I think there's that aspect of it, but then there's the aspect of like, what are you doing? Like, like if I was his teammate, and I was like an older teammate, if I was an older teammate, I would go to him. And be like, what are you doing, bro? Like, you do understand how important you are to our team. Like, you can't do that. You can't have mental lapses like that, my guy. Like, your reputation and how people feel about you is super important in that locker room, man, for our success. What are you doing?
Shut up, stupid.
Like, why? Like, we got to figure out how we fix this, bro, because you got dudes that just don't, like, you can't just ignore that. You can't breeze over if you've rubbed or if you come across wrong to the rest of the locker room. It's important.
We just got to make
man.
sure guys are coming to players meetings. We have guys who are missing players meetings. We have guys who aren't showing up on time and aren't doing the things we're asking them to do.
Yeah.
What do they say in the background?
What do they say? Shut up, stupid.
Boom.